Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you all are fine and doing well. In our last class we have discussed regarding types of conflict. What is conflict? We have discussed different types of conflict as well. So in this class we have also discussed, I think, regarding teamworks. So you can find different conflict issues, types in different books. So we have discussed different interpersonal conflict. We have discussed intrapersonal, interpersonal conflict, intragroup, intergroup, intra-organization, and intra-organizational conflict. We have discussed regarding team, as teamwork minimize the risks of many conflict. It reduces the sources, it reduces the conflict occurrence in the organization. Teamwork, we have also discussed all matter regarding the effect of teamwork, the benefits of working as a team, and why you need to build a strong team in an organization. So we have discussed all these things. It's very important for organization to work as a single team in order to achieve their goals and objective, in order to bring efficiency and effectiveness inside. We have discussed that all these points, benefits of team. So today we will be discussing conflict resolution strategies. So what are the strategies you can follow in order to solve the conflict? There are many resolution strategies that companies are following or individuals are following, but the Thomas Kilmann model is very famous, that most of the people or most of the organization are following this type of strategies. So as we have discussed in many classes that conflict is something normal which happens in every organization. Even the research that we have discussed suggested that 20 to 40% of employee manager time is spent on conflict issues. So that's why it's very important. So companies are using different different strategies in order to resolve conflict, or in order to minimize the chance of conflict, or in order to minimize the risks that conflicts occur inside the organization. So there are many strategies you can find, but this Thomas Kilmann is one of the famous model that people or companies or organization are using in order to solve the conflict that arises in their organization. So different people use different method to resolve conflict, as you can even use your own method how to resolve the conflict. And you need to find the sources of conflict, why the conflict arise, what will be happen, how you can solve it, what are the issues regarding the conflict. And different people use different methods to resolve conflicts, and most people have one or more natural preferred conflict resolution strategy that they are used regularly. So you might prefer one strategy or one system that in order you can use it regularly, or you have used it. Or you have used it. So the Thomas Kilmann model identifies 5 different approaches to resolve conflict. These approaches are avoiding. Avoiding is a type of strategy where you ignore where you just ignore everything. So sometimes you said, I'm sure you have heard something in the organization of you when you're working. They say just avoid it, don't take it serious, just ignore it, that's it. So don't care about that. It's just is a matter of strategy where you don't want to indulge yourself in the conflict, where you don't want to make the conflict even bigger, or look it bigger, or make the conflict more serious, where it will cause the effect, or where it will have effect on you or for other employees, and also on the organization. So that's why you just avoid the strategy. It's very normal on day-to-day basis. You can see that not only in the organization, in day-to-day life, in personal life, in friends life. You say you heard this, that so and so is saying, you just say don't care, just ignore it, I don't care. So why? Because if you do care, if you don't ignore it, it will create a conflict issue. You just want to resolve it by your own self, and you just think it will be resolved by itself. So avoiding, someone who uses a strategy of avoiding mostly tries to ignore or sidestep the conflict, hoping it will resolve itself or dissipate. So you say that it might resolve by themselves, or it might be finished by themselves, so you just ignore it, you don't care about that. So that's one strategy of resolving the conflict, where you don't want to create more conflict, where you don't want this conflict to be bigger, where you don't want this conflict to have impact on organization goals and objective, where you don't want to you don't want that this conflict have impact on employees morale and other employees. So you just want to ignore the conflict, you just want to just leave it. So that's avoiding strategy that most people are using. From Islamic perspective, same thing. Certain time when people come to you, yeah, so and so have said this, so hope it will resolve by itself. You see that certain people say that so and so have said something against you, you just ignore it, you just leave the matter. You just don't want to go deep into it. When you go more deep into matters, why you said this, why you said that, why you said this, so it will create more conflict, it will increase the chance of more conflict, so it will impact you as well. So that's why it's best policy, the best policy regarding these matters. When you work in an organization, someone is talking behind you, I think there's a quote I have read somewhere that they say that if anyone is talking behind you, it means where they are located, so you are far away from them, that's why they are talking behind you. So that's why when you hear something, so that's why you just ignore it, you just don't want to create more problems, you just don't want this conflict to get bigger inside the organization, so you just avoid it. So that's a strategy that most people or some people might use it in order to resolve conflict. The next one is accommodating strategy is you just want to clarify everything to other party, you just want to whatever is belongs to you, you just want to leave it on the expenses of your own self, you just want to ignore certain things. Is the same thing like using this strategy of accommodating to resolve conflict is essentially involve taking step to satisfy the other parties concern or demand at the expenses of your own needs or desire. You just put your own needs and desire in, you just aside, and you just want to satisfy the other party. So that's accommodating strategy, that you satisfy other party. You say okay, if you need bonus or something, an issue of conflict, if you need resources, you just other party satisfy, you just don't want to create more conflict. So that's why you just give it to them or leave it. So that's accommodating strategy, or some companies or organization are following this. The next one is compromising strategy. Compromising strategy, where it's clear from its name, you just compromise. It's in compromising strategy, the main task or the main objective is to satisfy both parties. For example, you just want to compromise, you just want to come together, that 50-50, they call it 50-50. Mostly you see the organization in third world countries, like least developed countries, they compromise certain things. Elections issues which we have saw in Afghanistan, you need to compromise certain things, you need to leave in certain things, they need to leave. So you need to compromise with each other and work together. So that's a compromising strategy that most companies are following. So the strategy of compromising involves finding an acceptable resolution that will partly but not entirely satisfy the concern of all parties involved. So this strategy, it doesn't mean that you compromise will satisfy you 100%. No, you might have certain concern, but the problem is you need to leave certain things, and other party will do the same thing. They might not be happy from the decision, or they might not be happy from the compromise, but they don't have option. If they go on with the conflict, it will create a chaos in the organization, or it will create a big chaos in other companies. So let's say we have seen, as I give you the example of election. So if they didn't come together and they didn't resolve this conflict and they didn't compromise, they didn't leave certain authorities, rules and regulations for each other, then there would have been a big issue. So you all know regarding the elections that happened, so you know what happened and how they come together and who negotiated between them. So that's a compromising strategy where you just clarify everything. So the next strategy, resolution strategy, is competing strategy. Competing strategy is one of the selfish strategy that people are following. In competing strategy, you just think about your own self. You don't care what's happening to other party. You just want your own self. If you need resource or bonus or whatever, you just think about your own self. That's competing strategy. If there is a problem between you and your employees, you think that you are the right, have to do this and have to that. That's competing strategy. Competing strategy is someone who use the conflict resolution strategy of competing, tries to satisfy their own desire at the expenses of other parties involved. So you just think about your own desire, you don't care about other parties. So this is the opposite of another strategy which we have discussed in last slide. So the next one is collaborating strategy. In collaborating strategy, conflict strategy, it's mainly concerned regarding to satisfy both parties, entirely satisfy both parties. If they have a conflict issue, if they have a conflict inside the organization because of something matters that we have discussed, because of some source of conflict, then they can use collaborating strategy. In collaborating strategy, you need to find out the solution that satisfy both parties, not only one party, or halfly satisfy one party, halfly satisfy other. No, that's compromising strategy. In collaborating strategy, using collaborating involves finding a solution that entirely satisfy the concern of all involved parties. So you all think that parties involved inside the this conflict, and parties involved with the problems that they are having. So that's collaborating strategy. Next is, so these are the strategies that we have: avoiding strategy, accommodating strategy, compromising strategy, competing strategy, collaborating strategy. These are the 5 Thomas Kilmann strategies that are placed in order to resolve the conflict that occurred inside the organization. So there might be more other conflict strategies available in many books as well, and some authors might have discussed entirely different topics regarding resolution strategy. So it is main concern so the main concern is resolving the conflict. That's the main issue. So when you're choosing a strategy, the main objective of this strategy should be or needs to be resolving the conflict. You want to finish that conflict. You don't want the negative impact of that conflict on your organization or on your company. You just want to finish everything on the spot, and you just don't want to spread this conflict inside the organization, and that's it. So these are strategies and different strategies that are placed in order to resolve the conflict between two individuals, between parties, between employees in the company, companies with the employees, with suppliers, with stakeholders, with governments, with others as well. So these are what we call it conflict resolution strategy. The next topic is workplace behavior. This is one of the most important topic as well. Workplace behavior, it's all related to how you conduct yourself, how you dress up, how you behave with other employees. Thus if you don't have a proper workplace behavior, there are more chance of conflict. So in workplace behavior, there are many things: verbal communication, non-verbal communication, body language, and all these things are part of workplace behavior. The dress that you are wearing, the way you talk with people, the way you communicate, the way you use your body language, it's all related to organizational behavior. So that's why it's very, very important that you behave in a very well in professional manner with customers or with suppliers, with other parties, with co-workers, with employees involved inside the organization. So that's why it's very very important for you to adopt that. یکی از کلانترین مشکلی که در ادارات دولتی وجود داره امی ارتباط یا امی روش مسلکی مردم با یکی دیگه است. مردم مثلا کارمند با کارمند، کارمند با اداره، مثلا با رئیس، با مدیر، مدیر با رئیس، رئیس همراه مردم. سو دست اینمی همش چی از ورک پلیس بیهیویر میه که شما چه قسم رفتار میکنین، روش دارین با کارمندایتان، با مشتریایتان، با سپلایرایتان، با مردم هم، با همگی چه قسم روش دارین، چه قسم رویه میکنین، چه قسم رفتار میکنین، چه قسم کالا میپوشین، حتی درس که میپوشین، کالایی که میپوشین از او استفاده میکنین. آیا او هم ارتباط به ساحه کاریتان داره یا نه، یا نظم کاریتان داره یا نداره. نظم کاریتان چی است، چه قسم یک جای کار میکنین. بسیار چیزاست که شما میبینید در ادارات مشکلاتی که عالی به وجود میه. بسیار زیاد اداراتی که مشکلات دارن نمیتونن که هدف که خدا به دست بیارن همی است، یا مردم ازشان شکایت میکنه که یا بسیار بد اخلاق هستن، همراهتان گپ نمیزنه، راهنمایی درست برتان نمیکنه، اموج ششتین تا دیگر هم بشین، کسی نیست که برتان بگه کی کار نکنین، برین این کار کنین، یا مثلا زحمت بکشین، یا بسیار چیزات. این کلش از ورک پلیس بیهیویر است. یا کمیونیکیشنشون بسیار بالاست، یا بسیار زشت است، یا بسیار گپای چتی میزنن. It's all because of their unprofessionalism that they are using inside the organization. یعنی از غیر مسلکی تو ما بگوییم، کارمندا بگوییم، صرافا بگوییم، کی را بگوییم که آمده به این بیچاره اینی تو یک مشکل درج کرده. So that's what we need to find. So that's workplace behavior. It's very very important that you behave yourself in a well in professional manner. The way you talk with people, the way you stand with them, the way you smile at them, the way you follow up work, the way you update yourself. So it's all, imagine if you become a CEO or a manager at any organization, so what will happen? So how you need to behave with your employees, how you need to behave with your co-worker with not key positions, so how you behave with your cook, with your security guard, with someone bringing you the tea and cleaning your office, how you behave that, what is your behavior with the poor people. So all of these are involved regarding workplace behavior. If customers are waiting for you, for example, you have seen this in many restaurants, in many government organizations, that people are waiting from early morning till, let's say, 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. or 12 p.m. But the way they talk with people, yeah, I know that in certain cases people might be also blamed for, but in most cases they don't talk to you even if they don't have any issue. Even if they don't have any issue regarding the what at home or anything, but they don't behave in a well professional manner or in a well proper manner. So that's why workplace behavior is very very important. In some countries they can even sue you to the court if they don't behave with them, if they are racist, if your employee is racist, if your employee is discriminating their religion, their matters, their belief, their mentality, whatever. If you're not, what we call it, eliminating these things, or if you can't do anything, then the way you talk with people, it's also affect the organizational behavior. So how you behave with others, what is the main tasks regarding that. So the term workplace behavior encompasses how your employees communicate with clients, so how your employees communicate with customers, how your employees communicate with each other. It's a verbal communication, non-verbal communication you can find in email and other parts as well. So what is their main task, so what will happen, how they treat each other, so how is their treatment, the co-worker, the line staff. That's what همین مشکلات شما در ادارات میبینین که کارمندا با مشتریا مشکلات دارن، امو رفتار درست مسلکی نمیکنن، کارشان درست وقت انجام نمیتن، یا در بسیار ادارات حتی قصدن کارشان نمیکنن تا برن مثلا یک چیزی بیاره. بیهیویرشان بسیار زیاد در بسیار ادارات شما میرین ضعیف است، یا متعصب هستن، یا مثلا اخلاق درست ندارن، یا عمرتان گپ صحیح نمیزنن، یا راهنمایی صحیح نمیکنن. یعنی بسیار مشکلاتی است که در بسیار بعضی ادارات شما میبینین که یا بعضی ادارات ماشاءالله بسیار خوب هستند، مثلا رئیسشان در بعضی ادارات میرین ایمیل خود بیرون بند کنه، هر مشکلی که داشتین کسی کارتان نمیکنه، کسی تان امرایتان روی خوب نمیکنه و امرای ما شریک بسازین. از خاطر زمین شما در بسیار ادارات میبینین امی what we call it صندوق شکایات و انتقادات ایرا به خاطر چی مانده؟ تا همه کارمندا را بفهمن که امی کارمندا ما چی مشکل دارن. امی کارمند میشه روبرو بگه گفتن نتونه، امی کارمند میشه روبرو یک مشکل داشته باشه، امی کارمند میشه از جنجالای افغانستان خو یک جنجال نیست پشت خانه برو مثلا خاک بیار، بسیار مشکلات است. ای از خاطر چی است؟ It's all because of workplace behavior, the way they talk with people, the way they behave with each other, with suppliers, with customers, with employees. So definitely that has great impact. So imagine if your lecturer is not behaving well with you. He might be rude, he might be shouting, he might be not using proper body language. So what will happen? Definitely there is employees, you are our customers, so students will get bored. What will happen? They will complain against the lecturers. If they have more complaints when they are reviewing per semester, they say no, we don't want this lecture blah because this guy is not behaving well professionally inside the organization. He's not punctual, he's not what we call it honest. So that's why they have left me in what we call it around my home, and they say we don't want. So it's all because of conflict issues as well inside the organization. workplace behavior روابط مثلا می خود داخل یک اداره، مشکلاتی که داخل یک اداره است کلش که اگر داخل یک اداره امی رویتان، روش رفتارتان با کارمندای دیگه چطور است، با اداره چطور است، با آیاتا چطور است، با مردمایی که داخل اداره میان چی است، این نمی همه چیزایی است که ما باور کنین مشکلات را باز به بار نمیره. اگر این قسم گپای زیاد باشه و معلوم دار که مشکل چی میکنه دیگه هم او بزرگتر میسازه و مشکل هم دیگه هم کلان میشه. حتی در بسیار کشورها امی بیهیویر از خاطر بیهیویر کارمندای، از خاطر بیهیویر مشتریاشان یا ببخشین کارمندایشان، این کمپانی با میلیون ها با صدها هزار دلار جریمه داده، چون امی مشتری که در فرند دیسک بود روی خوب نداره. و یک چیز دیگه مهم است بسیار زیاد، چون در اینجا بی بازی جنرال میخوانن، بازی مثلا بچلر میخوانن، بازی فایننس میخوانن. بسیار کشورها بسیار بخشا داره، مثلا MBA اور BBA in hotel and tourism. هتل and tourism به خاطر چیز؟ به خاطر زمیست که خارجی همین موترشان واز میشه، دروازهشان واز میشه، ازشان یک تشکری میرن. So that's all regarding the workplace behavior, the way they talk to you, the way they smile at you. چه قسم امرایتان گپ میزنه، چی میکنه، وقتی امرایتان خنده میکنه از نزدیک میبینین. باور کنین این مردم بعضی وقتا گپ مردم پیش میرن، چون مشکل در نظر نمیگیرن، این بیچاره را در نظر نمیگیرن و بسیار مشکلات دیگه هم دوچار میشه. از خاطر زمیز بسیار ادارات مشکلات خاص خود داره درباره workplace behavior. وقتی اگر شما در کدام اداره کار را شروع کردین، when you start working in an organization and you realize that they are facing issue, they are having problems regarding their workplace behavior, they can't conduct themselves more professionally, they can't what we call it they don't know how to communicate with each other. As I said, in communication it's not only how you talk, how you email, how you reply to the messages, how you talk with other people. So that's all comes under workplace behavior. So the term workplace behavior encompasses how your employees communicate with clients, how they treat each other, and how they accomplish their daily tasks. So when they're giving you the daily task, how they accomplish it, how they achieve it. So that's on day-to-day basis. So if your employees consistently exhibit positive behavior, your customer satisfaction rate, productivity and culture are likely to improve. Definitely when your employees are well behaving with your customers, when your employees are well behaving with the suppliers, with others, with the government, of course you will your customer satisfaction rate will be much higher compared to companies that their employees are not well behaving with customers. So if you respect customer, they certain times say give respect or take respect something. When you respect your employees, when you respect your co-workers, when you respect the people who are working with you inside, when you conduct yourself and you respect your clients outside, your employees, what we call it, employees, your customers, your suppliers, when you're behaving, definitely your customer satisfaction rate will increase as well. So that's why it will impact your organization. شما در بعض جایا فکر کنین که مثلا وقت میرین امرای کارمندایی که در اداره هستن، اگه ادارات دولتی است یا کشورهای دیگه میرین، حتی در میدان هوایی ها امرایتان چه قسم صحبت میکنن، چه قسم حرف میزنن. در رستوران که پیشتر براتون گفتم، هتل انتریورزم منیجمنت یک بخش است که میخوانن. به خاطر چی میخوانن؟ به خاطر زمیست که وقتی مثلا مردم به چکر به کشورتان میه، امرایشان بسیار با مسلکی پیش میرن، تشکری میکنن، مثلا ویلکم برشان میگه، بسیار امرایشان گپ درست میزنن، چون سرویسشان هم خوب است. کل کارمندایشان و همه بخش تیمشان امرایشان بسیار زیاد روی خوب داره. و چی میکنن؟ باور کنین بسیار زیاد جای هم قسم است. مثلا یک کسی ترکیه آمده است، یک رستوران بسیار از هتل بسیار خوش است، از جای بسیار خوش است. وقتی پس کشور خود میرد، کدام دوستش ترکیه می برش میگه که استانبول میرین، اینی رستوران برین، اینی هتل برین، بسیار روی خوب دارن، بسیار مردم خوب هستن، مثلا صداقت و کل چیز چی است ورک پلیس بیهیویر. حتی بسیار کشورها هم برای تاکسیوانا را برشان میته، از روی که تاکسیوان امرای مردم میکنه، امرای میمانا میکنه، از او بسیار زیاد متاثر میشن. وقتی متاثر میشن، وقتی میگن که شما اوجا موتر کار دارین، موتر خیر میکنین، آف کمپانی فلانی برین، اینی تاکسیوان بسیار، حتی تاکسیوانا در بسیار مشتریشون ریتینگ دارن، اوجا میمانن که how is our behavior, the way we communicate, the way we talk, the way we behave with each other. So it's all coming under workplace behavior. وقتی در اداره امی خود روابط، مثلا امی behavior که دارن، روشی که دارن، رفتاری که دارن، این مسلکی نباشه، در اداره کانفلیکت و مشکلات بسیار زیاد ایجاد میشه. در گپ بسیار عادی گپ کلان میشه، جنجال میکنن، جنگ میکنن. پیشتر در صنفای پیش بسیار بحث کردیم سر کشورهای درجه سوم، پیشتر گفتم بسیار ادارات ببینین میخیزن، یکی دیگر را میزنن، داخل اداره یکی دیگر را میزنن، بسیار مشکلات است. شما یعنی یک چیزی است که عادی شما حتما روبرو شدین، شما حتما دیدین، مسلکی نیستن. در اداره میرین کارتان بند است، مثلا کارتان میخواین که پیش ببرین و خلار یک جای میشینه، شما کار در چوکی شستین و در تلفن خود گپ میزنه، حال اینکه یا بریک دارن دمو بریک میتونن گپ بزنن، یا شما در چوکی در لاین شستین میره بیرون سیگرت میزنه. نه وقت بریکشان است، نه وقت مثلا نان خوردنشان است، و نه وقت یک کلش در چی میاد؟ در بیهیویر. حتی باز جایی که شما میرین کار میکنین یا چیز پرسان میگه هیچ نبه، هیچ بیخی دمی دکان یا دمی رستوران دیگه هیچ نبه، امو طریقی گپ زدنشان، طریقی حرف زدنشان بسیار زیاد فرق میکنه. یعنی ورک پلیس بیهیویر در بسیار جا کم تاثیر داره بالای یک اداره. So that's all regarding workplace behavior. So there are many things that you need to very careful. It creates a big conflict inside the organization if your behaviors are not what we call it, professional. So that's all these things. There are many things included in many topics included in workplace behavior. One of them is how do you know what is appropriate behavior for workplace. There are, I'm sure, hundreds of points where you can find that how you need to conduct yourself in more professionally inside the organization, how you behave. Working well as a part of a team or group, so we have discussed all this issue. I think it's very simple. A positive attitude toward co-worker in workplace, so that's again a simple point, how you have attitudes, how you behave with others, how you talk with each other, how you help each other. Certain times you might have an issue, you might have a problems, you cannot come, he might be having off, so he might come instead of you. All this clean and suitable appearance is another issue of conflict. Sorry, it's another appropriate suitable appearance. It doesn't mean that you need to have suit or tie. No, every culture has their own suitable appearance. The way you wear it should be clean, professional, dressed up. If you go to Dubai and you see that there are people in the airport, they're wearing their own turbans and clothes, their own traditional clothes, but they wear it cleanly. یعنی شما در کشورهایی که میرین میشه یعنی appropriate dress یا appearance قسمی نیست که شما باید پتلون و کرتی پتلون داشته باشین، نه خیر. یعنی بسیار جاها میرین که عربا یا در میدان هوایا در بسیار جاها کالای خود پوشیدن ولی منظم هستن، پاک میپوشن. این خودش در ورک پلیس بیهیویر است. در یک جایی که شما میرین کار میکنین میزتان پاک باشه، دفترتان پاک باشه، کالایی که میپوشین منظم باشه، بسیار چیزاست. حتی در بسیار کشورها فکر کنم هفته 2 دفعه سلمانی میرن، چون وا همه قسم عادت کردن از خورترکی. در بسیار کشورها میشه دما نرن، یعنی یک چیزایی هستن که suitable appearance در نظر گرفته میشه. So respect for others and respect for individual differences, that's what we have discussed. So you all know you need to respect individual differences. We have discussed religious matter, you have discussed in international business regarding culture issues, mentalities, ideology, everything, color, religion. These are all respect for others, individual difference. Being on time for work is another appropriate behavior for workplace. If your work start at 8 a.m. you must be there at least 10-15 minutes before, where you can go to your office, set up everything, then you start your, if your break is from 12 to 1, then after 1 you need to be at office before 1. It doesn't mean that your break is 12 to 1 you come 1:30, 2 o'clock. Your job start 8 o'clock, you go 9:30, 10 o'clock. So that's not a well behavior inside the organization. That's not a proper behavior that the companies, the people, being polite and helpful with the customer and other stuff. So you need to respect others and help others as well. So that's overall regarding workplace behavior and conflict resolution strategy. So if you want to minimize the chance of conflict, if you don't want to indulge in conflict, if you don't want your employees to what we call it, create more conflict inside the organization, if you want your companies to achieve their goals and objective more easily, then it's very, very important to provide a professional training for your employees, how to behave inside the organization, how to behave with customers, how to behave with suppliers, how to behave with the government, how to behave with general public, to behave with your neighbors, how to behave with your another colleague, how to behave with your CEO in other parts. So these are all coming under these issues. So that's what we have discussed. The conflict resolution strategies. There's 5 most important in resolution strategy: avoiding, accommodating, compromising, competing, and collaborating. In workplace behavior, so that's what we have discussed. These are certain points that are important regarding workplace behavior, and there might be many other points as well. How to conduct yourself, your office, the way you decor your office, the way you behave, the way you talk with your customers, with your clients, the way you guide them. It's all because of workplace behavior. Then see you inshallah in next class.